The day Ibrahim Qureshi died, the entire city stopped. Business tycoons, politicians, and elite families gathered outside the grand Qureshi mansion. Cameras flashed, luxury cars lined the gates, and reporters whispered about the future of the Qureshi empire. To the world, Ibrahim Qureshi was a genius billionaire. To his family, he was distant, cold, unreachable. His wife, Farah Qureshi, stood with controlled dignity. His son, Daniel, checked business calls between condolences. His daughter, Alina, cried softly, but even her tears felt rehearsed. Only one person stood in the far corner of the courtyard unseen. The maid, Shazia. Her hands trembled as she clutched the edge of her worn dupatta. Her eyes read not from public grief, but from something deeper, quieter and far more real. 3 days after the funeral, the family lawyer announced the will reading, but instead of a will, he presented something unexpected. A personal diary, he said. Farah frowned. What nonsense is this? The lawyer continued. Mr. Ibrahim Qureshi left instructions that this diary must be read by the entire family before any inheritance is distributed. Daniel scoffed. A diary? We run a billion-dollar empire, not a poetry club. Still, the study was opened. For the first time in decades. The room smelled of old paper, ink, and silence. Inside the desk drawer lay a thick leather-bound diary, locked, with a small note attached. Truth is the only inheritance I can leave honestly. The lock was opened. Alina began reading aloud. Year 1989. Today I hired a new maid. Her name is Shazia. She is quiet, hardworking, invisible to everyone. Except me. The room fell silent. Farah's expression stiffened. Danielle frowned. This is irrelevant. But Alina continued. She reminds me of the life I once had. Simple, honest, untouched by greed. Farah slammed the table lightly. Skip to the business-related parts. But there were none. The diary was not about business. It was about loneliness. Entry after entry revealed something shocking. Ibrahim barely wrote about board meetings. Barely about profits. Barely about family celebrations. Instead, he wrote about small moments. Shazia left tea outside my study without knocking. She always notices when I forget to eat. Today, my family celebrated my birthday. Shazia was the only one who asked if I was tired. We live in the same house, yet I speak more to silence than to my own children. Farah's hands trembled. This is absurd, she whispered. But the truth was beginning to unfold, halfway through the diary. Alina's voice slowed. Her lips trembled as she read the next entry. I built an empire for my family. But I lost my family while building it. Danielle shifted uncomfortably. Then came the line that shattered the room. The only person who ever cared if I was happy. Farah stood up instantly. This is disrespectful. But Alina continued, her voice barely steady. Silence exploded like thunder. Farah stood up instantly. This is disrespectful. But Alina continued, her voice barely steady. I never crossed a line. I never spoke my feelings aloud. But in my heart, I loved her kindness more than the affection of my own blood. The diary slipped from her hands. Shazia, who had been standing near the door, froze. Her face turned pale. Danielle's voice rose sharply. This is manipulation, a servant influencing a dying man. Farah looked at Shazia with cold eyes. How long were you planning this? Shazia shook her head, tears falling. I never knew about the diary. I swear. Alina watched her carefully. And for the first time, she noticed something. Shazia's grief was not loud, not dramatic, but deeply real, unlike theirs. With trembling hands, Alina picked up the diary again. The last pages were written in shaky handwriting. My family lives in luxury I created, yet they fear losing my wealth more than losing me. Shazia never asked for money, never asked for favors. She only asked if I had eaten. Farah's eyes filled with silent fury. Then came the final entry. If my family ever reads this, they will misunderstand. They will think this is love of romance. But it is not. It is love of humanity. She treated me like a human, not like a bank. The room fell into unbearable silence. Inside the back cover, a sealed envelope was found. Daniel opened it quickly. His face changed. What is it? Farah demanded. He read slowly. Mr. Ibrahim Qureshi has transferred a confidential trust fund. His voice stopped. Farah shouted. To whom? Daniel looked up in disbelief. To Shazia. Gasps filled the study. Shazia stepped back in shock. I don't want anything. I never asked for anything. But the letter continued. This is not a reward for service. This is gratitude for kindness in a house full of distance. For the first time, the family was forced to confront a painful truth. They had given Ibrahim respect, but not presence. They had given him status, but not warmth. And the one person who gave him simple human care was the one they never truly saw. Not as a woman, not as a person, only as the maid. That night, Alina knocked on Shazia's small room door. Her voice trembled. Tell me the truth, she whispered. Did my father ever say he loved you? Shazia closed her eyes, and after a long silence, she replied, He never said it. A tear rolled down her cheek, but he didn't need to. The study remained silent long after the diary closed. No one spoke. No one breathed. Only the ticking clock on the wall dared to move. Farah Qureshi was the first to break the silence. This is unacceptable, she said, her voice sharp as glass. A servant's name appearing in a legal trust? On what basis? Danielle slammed the table. This is manipulation. Emotional exploitation of an aging man. Alina did not speak. Her eyes were fixed on the doorway, where Easter stood, still, where Easter stood, still, pale, unmoving, as if the floor beneath her life had just disappeared. I did not know, Easter whispered. Her voice was barely audible, but it echoed louder than every accusation in the room. Easter had worked in the Qureshi mansion for 22 years. She had arrived as a shy 19-year-old girl who could barely look anyone in the eye. She cleaned the halls, served tea, walked quietly, spoke only when spoken to. Invisible. That was her role. That was her safety. She never entered family conversations, never sat at the dining table, never asked questions, but she noticed everything. Especially him, Ibrahim Qureshi, the billionaire who ate alone most nights, the man who worked until midnight, the man who forgot his meals, the man whose laughter disappeared year after year. And now the world was saying he loved her. Her hands trembled. I swear on my dignity, Easter said softly. I never asked him for anything. 3 days later, the Qureshi mansion was surrounded by media vans. Headlines exploded across television channels. Billionaire leaves secret trust to maid. Family files legal challenge. Inside the law firm of Rahman & Co., the tension was suffocating. Senior advocate Karim Siddiqui adjusted his glasses. This case, he said calmly, will not be about money. Farah leaned forward. Then what will it be about? Character, he replied. And intent. Danielle scoffed. We will prove undue influence. Alina remained quiet. But one name echoed in her mind. Easter, the courtroom was packed. Journalists. Business rivals. Curious spectators. And at the center of it all, Easter. She wore a simple white dress. No jewelry. No pride. No defense mask. Only quiet dignity. Across the room, the Qureshi family sat in luxury and power. Judge Hamid entered. This court will determine, he declared, whether the trust assigned to Miss Easter Qureshi. Farah immediately interrupted. She is not a Qureshi, the courtroom murmured. The judge struck the gavel. Order. Danielle's lawyer stood confidently. My lord, this is a clear case of emotional manipulation. A domestic worker gained psychological access to a lonely billionaire and influenced his financial decisions. Gasps filled the room. Easter lowered her eyes. Did you ever discuss finances with Mr. Ibrahim? The lawyer asked sharply. No, she replied. Did you ever enter his study without permission? Never. Did you ever ask for gifts? Never. The lawyer smirked. Yet you received millions. Silence. Then Easter spoke slowly. I received kindness. The courtroom froze. Alina stood unexpectedly. My lord, she said, voice trembling. I request permission to submit the personal diary of my father as evidence. Farah turned in shock. Alina, what are you doing? But the diary was accepted. The judge opened a marked page and read aloud. Easter left food outside my door again today. She pretends she does not notice my loneliness. Another page. Easter left food outside my door again today. She pretends she does not notice my loneliness. Another page. My family discusses my empire. Easter asks if I slept well. The courtroom grew quieter with every line. Then came the final entry. If kindness has a face in this house, it is Easter. tears filled Alina's eyes. For the first time, the case stopped being legal. That night, back at the mansion, Alina knocked on Easter's door. "Why didn't you ever tell us?" she asked. Easter looked confused. "Tell you what, madam?" "That my father was suffering." Easter's voice trembled. "I am a servant. My duty was care, not interference." Alina's voice broke. "We lived in the same house." "Yes," Easter replied softly, "but not in the same world." Those words shattered something inside Alina. During the next hearing, a surprise witness was called, old driver Bashir. He raised his hand and swore the oath. "I drove Sir Ibrahim for 15 years, he said. "Did Miss Easter ever behave improperly?" the lawyer asked. "Never," Bashir replied firmly. "She was the only one who reminded him to take his medicine." The courtroom stirred. "He used to say," Bashir continued, voice shaking, "in this mansion full of people, only one person notices when I disappear into silence." "Who?" the judge asked. Bashir looked directly at Easter. Her. Farah's composure finally cracked. "This is emotional drama," she shouted outside court. "He was my husband. My responsibility." Easter stepped back immediately. "I never tried to replace anyone," she said quietly. Farah's voice trembled. "Then why are you in his diary more than his own family?" Silence. Easter's answer was soft but devastating. "Because I was present when everyone else was busy." Farah could not respond. For the first time in decades, she realized something terrifying. She had lived beside her husband, but she had not truly seen him. On the final day, the judge requested the sealed legal appendix attached to the trust. The courtroom held its breath as the document was opened. The lawyer read slowly. "This trust is not a reward for loyalty. It is a moral mirror for my family." Shock spread across the room. The letter continued. "If my family challenges this in court, it will confirm my greatest fear, that they value inheritance more than introspection." Danielle's face turned pale. Alina began to cry silently. Farah sat frozen, and Easter closed her eyes, because now she understood. This was never about money. It was about truth. The judge removed his glasses. "This court finds no evidence of coercion, manipulation, or undue influence." Silence. The diary, witness testimonies, and legal documentation clearly indicate the trust was created voluntarily by the deceased. He paused. "And therefore, the trust assigned to Easter shall remain legally valid." The gavel struck. Case closed. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Easter. "Do you feel victorious? Will you claim the wealth?" Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Easter. "Do you feel victorious? Will you claim the wealth? Were you secretly in love with the billionaire?" Easter's answer was calm. "I was loyal to a lonely human being. Nothing more. Nothing less." Weeks later, Easter visited Ibrahim's grave alone. No cameras. No lawyers. No family. Only silence. She placed fresh flowers and whispered, "You should have told them you were lonely." A gentle wind passed. Back at the mansion, Alina reopened the diary one last time and found a page no one had noticed before, hidden between two sheets. "If my family ever understands this diary, they will not hate Easter. They will realize she did what they forgot to do, care without expecting anything in return." Alina closed the diary slowly. Tears fell, because the empire remained with the family, but the truth belonged to Easter.